councillors, welcome back. Members of the public, welcome back, staff. We will move now to item 2 on the agenda, which is the Three Waters reform.
Are we on item 2? We're whipping through this, Jim.
You sure it's on item 20, Kellen?
Yeah.
This, Michelle, I think you're going to speak to this along with Megan. So, Michelle, over to you.
Kia ora koutou. Yes, I'm happy to take this paper as read and to respond to any questions you may have on the matter.
Thank you. Megan, anything you want to add? Right, thank you. Right, councillors. Discussion, comments. Nikki.
Look, I'm not sure if there are any questions. I just want to preempt that I will be moving in support of joining the group Communities for Local Democracy. I've put through a couple of proposed amendments to staff, and I was told they could go up on the screen, but look, I don't want to interrupt questions. So if anyone has lots of questions, I will wait.
Right, thank you. Any other questions, any comments anyone wants to make? Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you. Yeah, probably more a comment than a question. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we know that the model that is currently proposed is both problematic and unpopular. I think this is an organised and managed way to investigate and promote an alternate, alternate models that might be better. And I think from that perspective, we should be engaged in it. They do appear to be organised, and they do appear to reflect many of our concerns. It's a relatively, we don't have to agree with the outcome that comes out of it at the end of the day. So I think it's a useful process for us to be part of.
Thank you, Quentin. Nate?
Thank you. Yeah, just to echo what Quentin said, also to flag that there was a Zoom meeting arranged by Councillor Gladdin, thanks Nikki, last Monday, where we talked through the model with Dan Gordon, who's the chair, who was, he just outlined what the group is trying to achieve. They have roughed up, is it 2 models, alternative models, and are very keen on working with the government to come up with or refine the solution that's on the table. And I personally feel there's strength in numbers. I think that, as Quentin said, we don't have to agree the final outcome, and would be happy to support it. Thanks.
Thank you. Esther?
Thank you. Very quick. I'm happy to support, and I'm interested in seeing the amendments just because of the complication of not fully understanding what Communities for Local Democracy actually are providing as the model. So hopefully that may shed some light on that process.
Thank you, Glenn.
Your Worship. Yeah, I sat in on that meeting on Monday. Thank you, Councillor Gladdin. I must admit, they pretty much lost me when their proposed models, when they mentioned that their proposed models will be based on a similar model to Waka Kotahi funding. As a community, I think as councillors we can all agree that that funding model has not given us the best outcomes in respect to public transport or even active transport as well. So I must admit, at that point, they lost me. Any move towards a model based on our current Waka Kotahi modelling, funding arrangements, sorry. Just a quick one, Megan, or Your Worship, if it could be answered. When we voted previously, I think it was, I forget the wording, Councillor Gladdin could probably, strong and that was just against the mandate. It was not against the model. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, you're correct.
So we're not, if we're joining this to discuss models. That's not the purpose of our vote previously. It was to be active against the mandate, not the model. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Nikki?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think at this point, given there's not a lot of questions and it's sort of discussion, and I will put that motion forward. I'm just wondering if Niall would be able to pop that up on the screen.
Yeah.
Is there a seconder for Nikki's motion?
Might need to wait till it goes on the screen. I haven't organised that.
Right, okay.
Just, can we just...
Okay, so this is an alternative to...
It's. I guess what I wanted to do was address some of the concerns in the report, because they're valid concerns, political concerns around government support and not sending the wrong message by joining. I guess everybody can see what's up there. So I have said, look, resolved to join the group, but noting that QLDC does not support a particular governance model for through waters infrastructure and services at this time, but fully supports the investigation and consideration of alternative models to ensure the best outcomes for our communities, which is in line with what we've agreed in the past. And point 4 is just to note that QLDC also supports the work of the Government's Through Waters Working Group to improve the 4-entity model. So I think our position has always been that we don't support the mandate, but when you don't support the mandate, but you also think that there needs to be change, which we've said, then you need to provide alternatives. And that's what this group has stepped up to do. It recognises that there's no point in us as local government going, well, look, we don't like what you're doing, government. LGNZ can't look at other options, and they would have been ideally the group to do that, but they bound themselves by the MOU, and so is the working group. And that's fine. Look, they're doing their piece of work. But I think usefully these guys have stepped up and they're now prepared to look at alternative options and put them to government. And I think for me, they've done it really respectfully. They couldn't tell us what the model, because we were actually invited last year for the public's benefit. We were invited last year to join this group. It's only now that we're considering it. And they've actually moved really quickly with support of their 24 councils to fund Castalia to do some work. And they do have some models. And when we talked to Dan on Monday, I was a little bit concerned because they have a model and we don't want to look like we're supporting anything in particular at this point. They can't show us. Because out of respect to the government and their members. So I thought we might be in a bit of a pickle, but then I thought one of the pointers that we want other models considered, the outline of that model that they gave us was something that I think we have suggested that we'd be prepared to look at, or that is an alternative model that should be considered. And so by joining, we give both financial and the political support to a group that's kind of done the work that we've demanded be done. So I'm right behind doing this, and I think they've behaved themselves, done a great job. I just wanted to put those 3 and 4 in there, just, for the avoidance of doubt for government and for those people who are doing good work on the working group, and for LGNZ, that, what we're taking as a principled approach, we support the investigation of alternative models. That's really all I wanted to say. I don't know if I have a seconder for that.
Thank you. So you're putting a motion?
I'm putting a motion, yeah.
Yeah, so is there a seconder for Nikki's motion?
I'll second it.
Right, thank you, Neve. Right, so discussion on Nikki's motion. Val, you had your hand up and you disappeared.
Oh, yes. No, I took my hand down because basically when I read the 3 and 4 and Nikki talked about it, it answered my questions.
Right, thank you, Glenn.
Clarification, Your Worship. So 3 states we will not support a particular governance model, and then 4 states will support the work of the Government's Three Waters Working Group to improve the 4-entity model. So are we implicitly saying that the 4-entity model is okay and it can be improved, but then in 3 we're saying we don't support the governance model?
I can answer that. I can totally answer that.
I know it's been a long day, but yes.
No, to me it's about good process. It's about, because the group, Communities for Local Democracy, have worked up a proposal or 2. They've actually got 2 options, and there's a funding model in there. And we honestly, they mentioned Waka Kotahi, but to your point earlier, that it wasn't specific and we haven't seen it. And they did say we're not expecting government funding. So it can't be exactly like the Waka Kotahi model. So I'm interested to see it. and see it investigated. That's the point. So that was just to give comfort that given that we haven't seen the models they've worked out, we're not, by joining the group, we wouldn't be supporting the model in particular, but supporting the investigation, which might lead to other sort of iterations of the model or models. And 4 was just noting that, we haven't made up our mind about not supporting the 4-entity model. We just didn't want a mandate, but it may well be that the 4-entity model is the best. So why not, support the work of both groups to investigate as many options as possible, given that this is going to be, the biggest change that we've seen for a long time, and it's going to affect local government significantly. It's just asking for better process, basically, and supporting better process, whoever's doing it. That's why I landed on 3 and 4. But happy to take, if you've got an amendment that you want to make to those, I'm happy to consider it.
That answer the question, Glenn?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Must be good.
Penny?
Okay, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I guess my theory is I hear what Glenn's saying, but I do believe to understand what's going on, you need to be in the camp. So, I support the fact we need to know what's going on, so we need to hear it. So to be in, pays out 20,000 and find out what's going on.
Thank you. Okay, so Glenn, have you still got your hand up for a reason, or you just got a lazy hand? So look, my own view on this is that I hear all the arguments for it. I frankly think we're wasting our $20,000 because I don't think it'll make any difference to the outcome whatsoever. And government will do what government is going to do on this. I think the best thing we can do is engage with LGNZ and attempt to guide an outcome that suits us. So, look, that's my own view on it. But back to you, Nikki, if you've got any closing comments on it. Otherwise, let's put it to the vote.
Look, we're in a hurry, so I've said my piece, and councillors will know where they sit on this by now. So,
Right, okay, let's put it to the vote.
thanks.
Okay, Councillor Copland.
So is it in favour to join or? Oh, yes, I'm in favour. Sorry.
So it is the whole.
The whole 1, 2,
1,
3,
2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yep, in favour.
Councillor McLeod.
In favour?
Councillor Ferguson.
In favour?
Mayor Boult.
Against?
Councillor Clark.
In favour?
Councillor Gladdins.
In favour.
Councillor Millar.
In favour.
Councillor Whitehead.
Support.
Councillor Shaw.
In favour?
Councillor Smith.
Or
Councillor Lewers.
oppose.
The motion is
The
carried.
motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. That takes us then